ladies and gents, this is your girl Samantha here, and I just wanted to talk about this story, which I thought was just such a cute story and very muchly needed for the Black community. So this was published November 21st, 2021, and is titled Armed Father-Daughter Duo March Alongside Anti-Rittenhouse Protesters to Protect Them. So this was in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Protesters upset over the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse marched in Kenosha on Sunday in the presence of a Second Amendment supporting father-daughter duo armed with AR-15s they said were to protect the demonstrators. "We just do security for different groups. We're doing a favor for them," Eric Jordan, aged 50, told the Post while walking alongside his 16-year-old daughter, Jade. Jordan said he'd been training Jade to use firearms since she was 4, but only let her touch a weapon once she was 14. He said they were protecting a restaurant and 2 parking lots in the area on the night Rittenhouse shot 3 people, including 2 fatally amid protests over police conduct. Rittenhouse has claimed he fired in self-defense, although "I probably wouldn't have fired my weapon," Jade said. So it's just interesting, this article, whoever wrote this threw their own biases into it, because they said the father and daughter claim that they are at the protest to protect protesters. And I'm like, I guess we could say Kyle Rittenhouse claimed that he was killing people for self-defense reasons, which we know is not true. So anyways, her father said of the verdict, "It is what it is. The jury did their job, and this is America," he said, which basically is saying America's racist, because it is. The Jordans said they had been invited by march organizers to protect participants who numbered about 75 in total. Demonstrators carried signs with messages such as "the whole system is guilty" and "cops and fascists give license to kill in the USA." The Reverend Jesse Jackson had been expected to attend the march but did not make it. He is way too old. That's why these black elders need to let go of the little power they have and start to groom the next group. They are way behind on that. Let me see here. So it's interesting because they actually did this entire story and did not mention once that this armed father-daughter duo are African American. So I'm going to see if I can find a little bit more information on these two, because I just think this is quite amazing. I do think that we need to get armed, everyone, to protect yourselves. And I really haven't spoken on the Rittenhouse. Hold on. So I really haven't spoken on the whole Rittenhouse case because I didn't really feel much of anything for that case. I knew that Rittenhouse was going to get off because the judge seemed to be very racist. A lot of things he was doing seemed to be to help Kyle Rittenhouse's case so that he could win his self-defense case, such as throwing out the firearms, firearm situation. Even though I did see, so a lot of these I could say, okay, I saw the wording in the case and in the law or whatever. It's very loosely stated. But even with the law, like focusing more on shotguns that have been sawed off, and his was not, he's still a 17-year-old in possession of a firearm, and it's like a military style firearm. And he crossed state lines. So I'm like, you're telling me in all that there wasn't something you could find to charge him with? And then also a lot of people were saying, well, the prosecutor should not have gone for first degree murder and gone that high. But to my knowledge, I thought that if juries did not find the first degree to be appropriate for such a case, they can say, okay, we're going to say second degree or manslaughter or something like that. So I feel like there was still a lot of room to basically send him to prison. But because he's white, he got these protections that non-white people, especially ADOS people, don't get. So I didn't really feel a whole lot. My sister called, and the reason why I also did not really pay too much attention to the acquittal is because Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 white men. I can't remember their genders, but I think it was 2 white men and shot another white male who was not killed. He's like in the hospital or he was injured. And so, even though they were at a Black Lives Matter protest, I am not a BLM supporter. It's a lot of controversy around that whole organization. I think it's been co-opted. I don't think that you can even trust that group at this point or their motives. So, I really didn't feel too strongly, like I couldn't understand really why these three white guys were at this protest, because a lot of people were there to cause more chaos or to create their own, drama or whatever. They weren't really there for what Black people would have been there for, which is try to seek some kind of human rights or justice for some Black person being murdered unfairly. So it's just so many variables and so much nuances to this that I really just didn't know what to say about this case. Like other than saying what everybody else was saying, that he was acquitted. It's like, okay, I'm repeating what everyone else is saying. And it's just like, I don't want the clickbait. I don't need to be just saying stuff just to try to get, people to come to my channel, because if that was the case, I would have been talking about it. I really just didn't know how I felt about it. And I really wasn't in the mood to really talk about it. Like, I just felt like, whatever. And another thing I felt about this case, the way it went, I feel like the judge basically gave a license for anyone to walk around with an AR-15 weapon and say that they're basically causing a dramatic situation. And then now they're saying when they kill someone, oh, it was self-defense. They're basically, to me, white supremacists are blurring the lines between what is really self-defense and what isn't. And Black people are not going to be standing around confused forever. Like, eventually they're going to start to arm themselves. I'm going to start to arm myself and my children and teach them how to shoot. So you're pretty much welcoming more people to pick up guns and kill and then scream self-defense. And what are you going to do? Because you let Kyle Rittenhouse get off. So now that's a new precedent that everyone has. Everyone can now say, well, he got off, so we can use his case and say, well, I was doing self-defense as well. Who cares if I drove 3 states over with my gun to quote unquote protect the property there? Give me a break. So I just thought it was interesting that he just got off, but then this story here with these Black people, the African American father and daughter. And then they made sure to slide in this little crap here where they said the father and daughter claim that they are at the protest to protect protesters. Well, it's not really a claim. If they said that's what they're there for, then that's what they're there for. Nobody asked you for your 4 cents. But apparently people in the news, like I told someone earlier today, everyone likes to give their opinion when they're supposed to just be unbiased in sharing the news stories, but they're not. So that's why I do what I do, because I feel like we need to hear from an African American woman / ADOS woman and my input on stories as well. So I think it's great what these two are doing. I definitely would love to follow them, and I would like to see more of this, more African American ADOS people, getting armed and getting trained in how to use a weapon and being prepared for anything, because our country is going downhill fast. And it's like the Wild Wild West in our country. So I mean, as you can see, we just had some guy flying through a parade in his SUV, and people didn't know if it was domestic terrorism or what. We don't know what to think anymore. We didn't know. People thought, is it retaliation for Kyle Rittenhouse verdict? And it's just like, this is where our country is. Things are so unhinged and so divided that, like, every single thing that happens, who is driving through a parade? But people have been driving through protesters, and it was actually made legal in some states to be able to do that. So nowadays you don't know what is legal and what's not anymore, so you don't understand why people are doing what they're doing, and if they're going to be acquitted for it. I guess it depends on your skin color. But anyways, you guys, let me know what you think about this cool news story of this armed father-daughter duo. I'm really happy to see this, that there is somebody out there protecting black protesters, and, you know, I guess any non-black protesters who are out there wanting to see real change in this country. And I think this is needed. You know, I think this is you're going to see more of this since Rittenhouse was acquitted. I think that all that did was send a signal to black people is to get armed, to be able to be ready to protect ourselves from the Rittenhouses of the world. So, yeah. So you leave your comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.